Hey there everyone, I'm here in Santa Ana, California, and we're here to, pay a visit to the Cooper Center, or full name John D. Cooper Center, which is the official repository of all fossils and artifacts found in Orange County. Because, much like the rest of California, a lot of fossils and artifacts these days are found during construction projects, especially here in the ever-booming South. So let's go take a look. Alright, so here we are in the Cooper Center. Not much in the way of display because they're mainly curatorial and whatnot. And here's our guide,
Hello.
the lovely Meredith Riven, curator of paleontology here at the Cooper Center. A lot easier on the eyes than many other paleontologists.
Nice, thanks.
But don't worry, Gary Takeuchi, you're still a sexy beast.
Of course he is.
Alrighty then, so what do you do here?
So I'm the curator of paleontology, and right now I'm the only person here full-time, although our director's moving in, as you can see all the boxes here. And my job mostly is to go through the collections and try to get them databased and cataloged and get them up to modern curational standards, which is something that every museum has to deal with, and we're kind of starting from the beginning here.
Yeah, they usually have interns they can delegate that out to.
Right, and I do have about 18 volunteers here, so they help out a lot. And you'll see some of them in the lab here working.
All right. Do you have any specific interests in paleontology or whatnot?
My interests are in whales, and so I'm in a great place to work on whales. Most of the Orange County collections are actually from the Miocene, so we have a tremendous amount of Miocene marine mammals, whales, sirenians, pinnipeds, and desmostylians.
Mm-hmm. What draws you to fossil whales? A lot of people seem to have disdain for them because all they find are vertebra and vertebra, so undiagnostic and rabble, rabble, rabble.
Right, they're mostly vertebrae and ribs, so you do have that problem. I didn't initially think I was going to get interested in whales. It was kind of a funny thing that I got a job in Orange County working in paleontology, and we kept finding these whales, and turns out that they were very interesting and there weren't enough people working on them. So, it was just kind of something that I fell into and have fallen in love with them.
So how many fossils / artifacts do you have here at the Cooper Center?
Like I said, we're still trying to get a feel for that, and so a lot. If we went through and were able to catalog everyone, I would estimate that it would be over 1 million. Right now we have about 800 cataloged, but that still represents about 10,000 specimens.
Okay, so we'll just go with crap ton for now.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty then, so how long has the Cooper Center been in business?
We've been open in this building since July, so just a few months.
Ah.
Yeah.
Still in your teething phase, eh?
Exactly. We're still working things out and figuring out how to attack the warehouses in the back and all the material we have back there.
Alrighty then. Diablo 3 is supposed to come out sometime this year. You excited for that?
Of course.
Alright, there's my shameless plug. Where's my Beta Key Blizzard?
We'll see what we can do. You're in Orange County. You're in the home of Blizzard now.
Alrighty then. Let's go have a look around. Alright, so here we go. We're in the lab where the magic happens.
Yeah, we've got a whale skull here. We actually excavated this one in 2008. And
you can see all the little prep marks there.
yeah, where there's some concretions around it. Actually, this was excavated as a whale skull, and when the jacket was flipped, there's bits and pieces of dolphin underneath, so we're working on kind of cleaning up that dolphin, and Kathy Gonzalez is working on this jacket. She's not here today, but she also works at the LA County
Yeah, you can see a rib there. I don't know, maybe part of a scapula or something there.
Yeah, wider.
It sounds like the Raymond Alf's Cripe site.
Yeah, this is Capistrano Formation, so kind of right at the Miocene-Pliocene boundary.
Wow.
And just very slowly trying to we've got some big whale vertebrae up here, which could be from this animal that we're trying to get to, but we'll find out.
Yeah, well, if anyone could tell you that, it's probably Elton Dooley over in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
More goodies in the Cooper Center. Here's a ground sloth, scapula, shoulder blade, for those of you who don't know. And all sorts of stuff, whatnot.
Yeah, that's a
See, this
deceit mandible. It's also getting put back together.
Yeah, see, this is what you want all your jackets to look like, empty.
Right, that's the goal.
We go in the society, and then we got.
So this is a Pleistocene whale jaw. That
Yeah,
is
that
kind of
is.
its own little miniature ecosystem. So we've got all kinds of encrusting bivalves here, oysters and things.
Oh, so
And
maybe
then we've got-
maybe a bit of a whale fall going on.
Yeah, it's shallow water, but still definitely got a lot going on here. You can see all the boring holes. You can see them really well on that side.
Those like pitted clams.
Yeah, they're pholads. Here's one right here.
That's okay. There's a little, little bivalve guy.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting.
And here you can see they've just peppered the jaw with holes. Yeah, so we got here a bunch of casts from stuff that lived in the early Miocene of Orange County here. Got this one. What'd you call this one again? Fobaragale? Fobaragale, basically America's first bear. Don't look much like a bear, do it? You can kind of see it there. Then we have a canid. Very much like the, almost looks like the later Borophagine dogs, at least in dentition. And here's like a mouse deer or a musk deer, or whatever they're called today, that have, you can see the enlarged canine, which they fought with instead of antlers. And then you have a little early Miocene Oreodont. From, this is early Miocene. So this was obviously past the prime, the Oreodont's heyday back in the Oligocene. But if Oreodonts were one thing, they were troopers. They held on to the late Miocene.
Yeah, the ones.
Yep. Yep. Here's the backbone of most museums: the volunteers.
So maybe you guys can kind of walk them through what you're doing there.
Yeah. So all of these boxes have been in the warehouse for Lord knows how long.
Time immemorial.
I think they were discovered like this. So basically, what we're doing is we're packaging them in these more archival bags, and into these boxes that will help preserve them for ages to come, as compared to these boxes, which are basically rotting away and just turning into dust too.
Cardboard is not eternal.
Neither is tissue paper.
When something's meant to be flushed down the toilet, obviously it's not going to last very long.
And along with that, we're also adding our little tags, our OCPC tags, to put our locality numbers, our specimen numbers, and all the relevant information, so that when other researchers need to come, they know exactly what they're looking at, as long as we know what we're looking at. Since some of these are so old, we really don't. Some of them have nothing onto them.
And it's pretty much like the reason you put numbers on books in a library, so you can keep track of everything.
Yep.
And obviously all the cool paleontologists listen to Lady Gaga.
You know how it is.
It's shared 50-50 archaeo and paleo. So we start in the Jurassic and we move forward through historic time in 15 feet of shelving.
Yeah, 15 feet of shelving equals 170 million years.
Exactly.
So, I don't know, I've seen a lot of pictures of collections that have these like slide out cabinets. What's the advantage of those?
You're really able to fit a lot more stuff in a small amount of space with these cabinets. Instead of having an aisle between every cabinet, you have just one aisle that you can move. So that's why we did it. They're expensive, but it really maximizes what you're able to store.
Paleocene through Jurassic. Rawr. Run that by again.
So this cabinet contains just one animal. It's we nicknamed him Waldo. He's an Amagatarine walrus, and he's still waiting description. So we'll keep them in here and try and keep them safe and secure until somebody can come through and give him a name.
How do you get the name Waldo?
Actually, the person who found him named him Waldo, and from what he tells me, it's from a Mr. Magoo cartoon. And there was a walrus in that cartoon, and that's where he got his name. So.
Yeah, it looks a bit like Aladesmus.
Yeah, very similar. That's the Magatarine, his imaginary sea lion, so he looks a lot like a sea lion would.
But if they're imaginary, how can you even find them?
Don't ask me. Yeah.
So here's some more of Waldo, and you can see, I mean, look at his, and that's about as big as the ground sloth scapula we saw in the lab earlier. So I imagine this guy's probably the size of like a Steller sea lion or something. He's such a celebrity, he gets his own cabinet. Woot for Waldo. Alright, so here we go. We got a bunch of stuff from, what is it, like a recently discovered Eocene site?
2000.
2000. Yeah, well, that's still relatively recently, given how slow things can move in science. Eocene, the Eocene epoch was about 55 to 35 million years ago.
Right.
And, you know, people who read my blog and whatnot know that I talk about the Sespe Formation up in, Ventura County on the Central Coast. And this is kind of contemporaneous with it, and they do indeed find a lot of the same animals in there. Like you got like a tooth there, possibly from like a brontosaur or a rhino or something. You got like crocodiles. Talking about crocodiles, here's a couple nice looking scoots of crocs. And here's like a brontosaur tooth. Just all sorts of little mishmash. Like you can see there's like a vertebra fragment and whatnot. And according to our lovely host here, this all came out of one jacket, just one jacket, and they got about 39 others to go through. So, yeah, who knows what you're going to find in there.
Yeah, it's a fun project. So, luckily this is pretty soft sediment, so we're digging through them rather quickly, maybe about 6 months a jacket. So we have about 20 years of work ahead of us.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm tempted just to open a museum just so other museums can part this stuff out to us.
Right.
It's like, we'll prep your jackets for you.
Yeah, we definitely need that.
Alright. Alright, here's more of the rest of the Talladega jackets. I think that's what it is. Talladega, there we go. Confusing it with a Will Ferrell movie. And yeah, as you can see, this was quite the bone bed where they just carved off these huge chunks of earth and just jacketed them and brought them here. Now obviously, as you can see, jackets doing their job of protecting them from the elements, but what's protecting the jackets? You know, this is why paleontology needs more funding. So, you know, so that they don't have to store their fossils in condemned buildings. Got even more over there. So much to go through.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of work, but we're moving forward and hopefully get this building replaced in the next year and have some new storage space to house all this material.
Now, righty then. So here we are in what's been nicknamed the Indiana Jones warehouse. You know, and understandably, I mean, people are always asking me, you want to be in archaeology, right? Though that may be because archaeology has been a side interest of mine, because it shares a lot of parallels with paleontology. But whatever. I don't know, I hope I can have a warehouse like this someday. You know, just stuff full of stuff.
Yeah, so this is 90% paleontology. There's actually a back room there that's archaeology as well, but it's a lot of work. About 35 years worth of collections in here.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and most of these jackets are just the way they came out of the field, so haven't been touched. We still need to open them up and figure out what's inside.
And that slow process. Yeah, it's, what happens when you run out of space?
We're already out of space, and so we're trying to figure that out. Theoretically, as we go through these jackets and clean things out, that'll make more space because we'll get rid of the bulk material, the matrix. But that's a really slow process, so it doesn't really help for the collections that are out there that want to come in. So right now we're just trying to figure out what we can do to kind of maximize the space we have and try to get funding to get some more.
Yeah, the Santa Barbara Museum declined my offer to go find them fossils in the Caliente Formation because they don't have the space.
Yeah, and that's true for almost every museum out there. There's more collections than we know what to do with. Obviously, you don't want to turn stuff away, but every museum kind of has a scope of collections that says this is what I'm interested in, and these are the kinds of things that we're going to take. And anything outside of that, they just have to hope there's another place that's willing to take them.
Yeah, what I made a point of on my blog is, you know, for the purpose of my museum, getting all the Central Coast fossils returned to the Central Coast, free up some space in these big museums for their, you know, faraway pursuits elsewhere.
Yeah, it's certainly an idea. Everything we have in here is from Orange County, so we focused on this one regional area. And we do have a few collections that kind of, I think, are from projects that spilled over into LA County or San Bernardino County, but it's
well, at least it's still local. I mean, it's not like you got stuff from like Nebraska or Alberta or something.
Yeah, it is all local, and it's all pretty much coming from mitigation.
Because yeah, Price Canyon might get developed up in Pismo Beach. Supposedly it'll double the size of Pismo Beach. I mean, who knows? If they do go through developing that, who knows what's going to be found?
Yeah, California's full of fossils.
Now, California has archaeology, geology, paleontology, history, biology. Come to California.
No, don't come to California.
And whatnot. And so, you know, here's one of the reasons why they're kind of running out of space. Because, as we all know, every school children can tell you, whales are freaking big. Yeah, they're a lot smaller than they're in the past and their modern day counterparts, but that doesn't mean they weren't still freaking huge. I mean, look at that. You can make a coffee table out of his upper jaw.
A lot of people come in here and think it's a boat.
Just about. Yeah, this guy maybe break something.
Yeah.
Yes, there's that whale that Elton Dooley described from Virginia, whose jaw was broken in half, that he thinks may have been with a collision with a rock on the sea bottom. And he thinks that probably the most likely way that happened was the animal was feeding off the bottom like a modern gray whale. Except that whale, the heel didn't break, it abscessed, and the animal died, whereas it looks like this guy was a bit more lucky. It actually kind of healed up. You can see kind of the rough and smooth patches there. So yeah, you got lucky there, whale.
Yeah.
Alright, well here's probably where the Indiana Jones reference comes from. You know, this is the archaeology collection, which we're not really going to look around because Meredith's a paleontologist, not archaeologist. And, you know, it's obviously also a lot of archaeological artifacts can be just as fragile as fossils. But as you can see, they don't take up as much space because, you know, most of these are from the indigenous people of California, or more specifically Orange County. You know, they were a Stone Age culture, so obviously some stuff was heavy because it was made of rock, but they didn't have like all sorts of, sort of like the big masterworks that Old World cultures had. Yay. Just a good example of how, you know, not all fossils are the nice pristine specimens you see on display. A lot of them, you know, usually depending on sedimentary conditions or the way they were buried, tend to be just, as you can see, very broken, fragmented. And of course, being a whale, all this stuff is not really that diagnostic at all. But you never know, you may get lucky, you may find his ear bone in there. Because apparently with whales, that tells you who he is. And just lots more stuff. And over there on that little shelf is dedicated to all the stuff not from Orange County. As you can see, it's not a whole lot.
A nice job with it.
Here's some stuff that was on a temporary display at the little courthouse. Obviously because Cooper Center don't have the means to display stuff, so they kind of display it elsewhere. This is a fur seal from the Capistrano Formation, and you can actually see that's the matrix. So whoever prepped this really did a good job integrating it, just sort of making it look like a display table or something. Though it must have been a real pain in the ass trying to prep under those delicate little ribs. And over here we have what's called a Cetathea from the Capistrano Formation. They're a primitive, early primitive group of whales related to Mysticetes or baleen whales. I mean, you can see there's his jaw there. That's the front of the snout. And then you're getting back here into the brain case. And then here we just have some like miscellaneous scapula and vertebra from something.
The pinniped.
Pinniped, yeah. So something maybe like a sea lion, or a lot of walruses have been found in the Capistrano. Identification pending. Alright, so I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff here today. I mean, just how extensive is Orange County's fossil record?
Very extensive. I like to say that we have a fossil for every major time period since the Jurassic. So it goes back about 180 million years. And 90% of the rocks in Orange County are sedimentary and have fossils in them.
Ooh, good time. Yeah, it's kind of like the Central Coast. We have Eocene, Miocene terrestrial, Miocene marine. We have Pliocene marine. We even have Pleistocene tar pits up in Carpinteria.
Right.
I don't know. What's some of your favorite stuff from Orange County?
Definitely the Miocene stuff. Even though I study the marine mammals, I actually love the plants. And so some of the plants that come out of the Monterey diatomite are just beautiful. And there's no better way of getting an idea of what the place really looked like back then than looking at the leaves and the plants and the environment that was around these parts.
Well, as a carnivore enthusiast, I say screw you, veghead. I kid. Let's see, what else to ask? Meh, anything you want to add?
No, I'm grateful that you came down here and we're interested in what we're doing here at the Cooper Center. We're trying to get out there and bring more people through and get some people working on the stuff that we have here, because it's too much for one person.
Yeah, well, I have about 11 subscribers, so that's 11 more people.
You just met a new one. You probably have more than you think.
Yay. Alright then, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meredith Riven, Curator of Paleontology at the Cooper Center. Alright folks, I'll see you next time. Hey there everyone. Not exactly the end, I guess. I just got to editing the video footage when I realized that there was something I had neglected to explain, or mention, take your pick. Anyway, before I had left, Meredith Riven, the paleontology curator that we met, was oh so very kind enough to bestow onto me some fossils from the Pismo Formation. Now, those of you who don't know what that is, or haven't read my blog or whatever, the Pismo Formation is a Pliocene body of sediment. That means it's about 2 to 5 million years old. I think it's somewhere more like in the middle, like maybe 3.5 million years old. But anyway, the Pismo Formation here in SLO County is well known, at least amongst the few paleontologists who study marine mammals, as the type locality of a giant sea cow called Hydrodamulus questae, named after my current school of Cuesta College. But anyway, somehow Meredith had come across these few little fossils and gave them to me, saying that, you know, I was probably the best home for them. And let's go ahead and take a look at them right here. Alright, the first one is this just random, nondescript little bone fragment. You know, my dad thinks it just looks like a rock, but focus, there we go. You can see all those little like stippling. That's basically the cellular structure in bone. That's how you can tell it's bone. And I could probably tell you it's fossil bone because it pretty much has the same coloration and texture as fossil bones that I have found from the Pismo, mainly out at Avila. So yeah, first little fossil, little bone fragment. The bulk of the fossils were, here we go, these 3 shark teeth here. They were all marked as Issurus, meaning that they're from a mako shark, but I'm not entirely sure, because you can see the first, this one here, the largest, it is pretty big, and despite being big, it's actually kind of incomplete. I mean, you can see it's not as big as a great white shark tooth. This is a cast of a great white shark tooth. Maybe about a third, or at least a half the size of a great white shark tooth, but One big difference is that this doesn't really have the big serrations that a great white has, so you know, you can't really say that it's from a great white, but I don't know. And then this next one here, again marked Issurus, but you can see it's narrower. It's not as really wide, especially at the base, or anywhere for that matter, and it's got a bit of a curve to it. You know, quite a bit of a curve. Looks almost a bit like a dinosaur tooth, rather than a shark tooth. And then finally we have this third one here, which is very narrow. Also has a bit of a curve. Damn it, sorry. Still polishing my fossil recording skills. But anyway, you can see here that it does kind of have a curve, but it's more forward, front to back, rather than the, you know, side-to-side curve of that tooth there. And just kind of what, you know, has me thinking that these may not all be Issurus is that here's a tooth identified by Alton Dooley Jr. of the Virginia Museum of Natural History. He identified this as Issurus. This tooth I got from Shell Creek up in northern SLO County. And just, you know, not just shape-wise, but also size-wise. You know, maybe the closest in size would be this guy. Yeah, but as you can see, nowhere near as narrow. This one here, but it doesn't have the... It's got just a tiny bit of front-to-back curve at the end there, as this guy, but... no, sorry, this guy. This guy's a side-to-side curve, whereas this one's just very straight and linear. Probably resembles this one most, so makes me wonder if this may be from like a juvenile or something. Not sure. I don't know, I may have to email pictures of these to Alton Dooley and see what he thinks. You know, for me, he seems like the guy to go to, not just because he, you know, studies marine fossils, but because of his site, Carmel Church, produces multitudes of shark teeth, so he's probably the best guy to ask, at least that I know of. I'm sure there's probably some other able-bodied paleontologists out there who could do the same. But anyway, if these all three fossils are from Issurus, then that suggests a great deal of variability in tooth shapes, because basically teeth are the only fossils that remain of sharks. Their bodies are made of cartilage. Cartilage doesn't normally fossilize, so basically we have to rely on their teeth. And because a shark can go through up to 100,000 teeth in its lifetime, there's plenty of teeth to go around that could make for a good sampling size. And so I wonder if there is that much variation in shark teeth, and then that's really something, because like I said, all we have of fossil sharks are their teeth, so we have to be able to identify sharks from their teeth. And I mean, if there's this much variation in one species tooth shape, then I don't know, that'd probably throw a monkey wrench into the engine of identification. Alright, so we got our shark teeth and our hunk of bone. It's not much, but it is one step closer to fulfilling the grand vision. Thank you so much, Meredith, for not only showing us around, but also for giving me this very nice contribution to my budding collection. Alright folks, that is it for reals, and I'll see you next time.